The kids are down, the wife sparked out, and I'm still struggling to catch anything like a tan here in Gran Canaria. Still looking like Casper, but we're diving in here on some epic chess tonight. In the Julius Baer Generational Cup, we've got Magnetic Candlestick playing white in this game here. World number 1, his opponent Alireza Firouzja, and the winner of this game takes this match. Then we go to the grand final in 2 days' time here. We're kicking in with a stunning game. Magnus goes pawn to king 4, best by test. Shout out to those who still use descriptive notation. And Alireza advances his c pawn. The Siciliano, aggressive. We now see knight f3, an e6 Le Francais variation. Does Magnus now mouse slip with d3? Surely you push that one 2 squares, right? Well, no. He's got something planned. Pony to c6 and g3 starts the King's Indian attack. Is he preparing to fianchetto that rook? We get pawn to d5, classic counter strike, and now queen e2, the starting move. Eyeballing that king here, so knight g to e7 played, preparing to recapture on d5 with a pawn now, and Magnus Brian cheddars that bishop, sanity prevailing. Alireza so impressed, he pushes his own g-pawn, building the banana hammock, and now this is classic aggressive chess, pawn to h4, ploughing down the board. Typical idea when there's no knight on f6 and in these attacking structures. So Alireza fights back with h6, preparing to pass those pawns like sheeps in the night. Look at these kings in the center now. Does Magnus Carlsen castle his king? Main move? No, these super GMs go in their own way, a la Fleetwood Mac. He pushes on with e5 here. Classic move, spearheading the attack, and now Alireza needs to get on with it. Immediately pawn to b5, but he plays bishop to g7. Such a standard looking move, but actually the bishop sat well on that other diagonal, supporting the queenside push. Now it's biting on granite. Magnus pushes his c-pawn. Now we get the extension with pawn to b5, bishop f4, classic overprotective move of that central pawn. a5, Alireza whispers charge. Look at those, they're like space invaders coming down the board. Incredible, by the way, how old that game is. Get on to Ask Jeeves, it'll blow your mind. Knight b to d2 played, but before Magnus can make any more progress, Alireza pushes that juicer. We now get a3 from Magnus, trying to clarify the pawn structure. Takes on c3 played. Of course, Alireza whispers gobble gobble, always does when he eats a c-pawn. Now we get this one recapturing, and love this move. a4, sitting on the head of the a3 pawn like a sumo wrestler. Cue graphic of a sumo wrestler here. Don't have the time to do the editing tonight. And look at the outpost it creates on b3. A knight could use it, a rook could use it. Magnus tries to fight against it. Only open file on the board, so it takes on much more significance. Now bishop a6, very nice move. Sniping that long diagonal. What does Magnus do? Castle the king, create a third target for that bishop. Very tasty. Cue the clip of Vishy Anand, former world champion, talking about mushrooms, while I insert something which is mildly unamusing and very unoriginal, but I don't have the time to edit, so we're cracking on. The knight hits f5, rook fc1 played, giving some space as well as protecting that weakened pawn, and after rook b8, Magnus could definitely think about taking here. Look how active that rook gets. Then the Silicon Overlord wants to do c4, but really double-edged move. You know, you give this square, crazy position, beyond me. What does Magnus do? He rotates this knight, really classic idea. Sometimes it comes this way and into g4, but we'll see his plan. However, Alireza now stands better with rook to b3. Now look at the bar on the left here. Chicken stock cube only gives a small advantage to black, but in strategic terms, this is getting really bad for white because this clamp is now serious business. Magnus goes knight e3 here, trying to do something in the center and on the king side. Alireza now can castle his king. He just doesn't want to. He's a very naughty boy. He could also go queen a5, target this pawn, but instead, he completely lets Magnus back into the game by taking this pawn. Such a natural move, right? But the problem is this. You can take, or you could have gone rook a1 first. This is what Magnus chooses. Now he brings this cannon blasting down the a file, and the problem after the exchange is not only is the pawn falling back, but Magnus is starting to turn the tables. Alireza's king still in the center. Now if you try and defend this pawn, classic kind of move like this, then there's this nice switchback with queen d1. If you now go, what's the move? Bishop b5, this is what I was looking at, then you run into this explosive move of c4. These are the kind of tactics which can come on the board, knight d2, and you open everything up. These are the sort of lines, right? Yes, you can block the way, but how about these for mega tactics? You know, checks are threatened and everything. You're now on this twice. And if you take, you get absolutely killed. Here's a sample line, something like this, right? It really is a demolition job. The king's still in the center. So no queen a5, bishop b5. Instead, the pawn abandoned. Alireza goes pawn to c4 here himself, and it's a really nice idea if Magnus takes, but he doesn't. We go to the back cave. Then you activate the bishop, and now if queen d1, you run into this, of course, cemento that pawn. If queen e3, well, you've now gained some time. This one can be played. There's no queen d1. It can't move like a horsey. So we come back. Magnus does not capture the pawn. Instead, he could play rook takes straight away, but he plays queen c2. Really good move, tricky move. And if pawn takes on d3, playable but not played, then queen takes on a4. And look at all the pressure just starting to bear down on the black position. Plus c4 on the way the minute you take on d3. So Alireza plays a bad move here, queen to b6, trying to hold those pieces together. But after Magnus takes, hitting the bishop, it jumps to b5. We now see queen a3 and Alireza regretting never getting that monarch to safety. It's pooping its pants in the center of the board. Bishop f8 played to try and get rid of that queen, but now we get this check here. Look at that for an ugly move. d7 is not where you want your king. On move 25, when it isn't an endgame, right? We now see takes on c4 from Magnus, bishop recaptures, and knight d2. Classic plan, trying to take the bishop, open the sniper on the long diagonal. So bishop d3 fights against it, but Magnus explodes the board with c4. Bishop to g7 now played, coming back to open the rook on queen e. Alireza doing a poker face, looking all over the place, but Magnus spots it. He's world number one. Pin and win, baby, on this knight here. Now we see the move of queen d4, going after the e5 pawn, and Magnus already could switch back with this bishop. You can see on the left, stock sushi does not approve. If we run back one move, what did it want? Queen b4 going for an exchange, okay, but white significantly better. Magnus, however, he goes rook d1. They're really starting to scramble now. Alireza on about 2-3 seconds, getting a few back per move. Magnus on 10 seconds, let's say. Now bishop e2, hits the rook, slides back to the b file here, and rook c8 played to overprotect that knight. Try and fight against these invasion threats here. Magnus now makes a mistake. Again, bishop e3, really strong move, but he plays queen a3, looking for the invasion, but bishop f8, once more played, kicks away the queen. It comes to a6, a4, more precise apparently, and now bishop takes on c4 best, but bishop c5 played. Rolling the dice, low on time, trying to crash through. Look at this bar rise. Why? Bishop e3, absolute killer. Where does the queen go, right? Say you take here, almost only sensible move. Well, now you can simply win an entire bishop. You can also invade here. It's absolutely atrocious. The knight's soon to drop if you're not careful. So we come back. Bishop e3 a killer, but missed by Magnus in an incredible move, a nod to the Botez sisters. Magnus takes on d5 here, a full Botez gambit, leaving his lady hanging. She screams, but what do you know? It's a Botez gambit declined. Alireza takes on f2 with check. Fine, is he just teasing? He's going to take it next move? No. This is a Botez gambit double declined, very rarely seen at the 2700 plus level. We see E takes on D5 by Alireza. What is going on? Are we really watching grandmasters play chess here? We now see Queen B7 check played on the board. King D8, I can usually keep it together, but sometimes I let it go, right? Now we see Queen takes on F7. Magnus is invading here, and this is really getting tricky. Magnus brings that one back to try and do some defense, but takes with check. King E8, he's singing Check, Check Out My Melody by Linkin Park. I think that's the band, right? Now he checks again. Alireza given the runaround. The rook hits the 7th. He's getting absolutely kebabbed. Think this and this in terms of a checkmate. So knight e7 fights against it, but e6 shuts the trap. Alireza resigns or loses on time, one of them, but not prematurely. It's mate in 6, and you start by going queen g1 check to give up your queen. A proper Botez gambit, right? And the problem is, let's just make a random move to show the threat. There's check, king here. This is a checkmate. Or this is also a checkmate. You're fighting against 2, this is the problem, and losing pieces, etc. Completely over. So Magnus just scrapes it. This was game 4, wins the match 2.5, 1.5, and he's going to go on to the grand final where he'll face the winner of the Big Fat Losers final, which is tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed. I'll try and get a couple of these up this week, and thanks again. See you soon. Cheers.